in the 70s, I learned about a doctor in Indiana who discovered something called a syndrome called pyroluria. Pyroluria. And I encourage anyone who hears me talk about this, do your own research. You don't have to believe me. Pyroluria is basically an absence of pyroxidine, which is vitamin B6 in the body. And people can get a hair sample and get a test and see if they're deficient in P5P, which is vitamin B6, and B vitamins, zinc, manganese, magnesium, and some C. I think there's 6 or 7 of these basic chemical elements that the body needs to keep the personality on an even keel. When a person has experienced a series of horrible shocks, you'll say, my God, they're a different person. They say that something like 60% of alcoholics and drug abusers have pyroluria at the beginning. Excuse me. And because of that, these individuals have no idea that they are deficient. They think that a majority, an enormous majority of everyone in the prison system has an absence of these essential elements that the body needs. Without them, your auric field looks like Swiss cheese. And I had a very interesting case in San Diego where this boy was 10 years old and his 15-year-old brother was terrified of him. He tried to kill his brother, and the mother didn't know what to do. And I said, tell me, did this come on? She said, well, he's always been difficult. But it's like all of a sudden something happened. I said, but what happened? Usually that's 3 things took place that caused this child to be tipped over. Where is the tipping point? Let's look for it. And she said, I don't know. He was close to his grandfather and his grandfather died. Okay, so that's number 1. I said, what's the second one? She thought until she says, oh, within 2 months we moved and he moved away from his best friend. That's 2. That's 2 huge griefs. And number 3, his dad's a SEAL and he went to Iraq for 2 years. 3 huge. Kid wasn't the same. He didn't know how to handle that level of grief. And he became this explosive, angry, almost uncontrollable person. And I asked her, would she be willing to try this? I'm not a physician. I don't have any certificates on the wall. I just study a lot. And I said, these are just supplements that you can buy over the counter. And we did some muscle testing type things to determine dosage for a 10-year-old. And I said, no need juice, because no need juice is a blood cleanser. And it pulls toxins out of the body. I also had her use French green clay. It's also called iolite clay. And iolite attaches in the intestinal and colon and that tract, that whole gastrointestinal tract, to toxins and starts to flush them out of the system. And so I'm building this complicated picture here. So you have this personality with this rage and their personality's changing and all these shocks happen to them. And now you're introducing this supplement world. And you have to slowly but surely, you put just a pinch of the iolite in their tea or whatever they're drinking. You get them to drink the noni juice. Okay, that begins to calm their behavior. It helps to calm them. Then you start introducing the supplements, B12, B6, manganese, magnesium, zinc. Not having enough zinc, vitamin D, some of the most basic elements. And I had remote viewed his body first. And I said, his guy's auric field looks like Swiss cheese. And all these beings are walking right in and out. I actually he was sitting in front of me and I watched his blue eyes become black. I had never had that experience before. It was chilling to the bone. They wonder, how can somebody murder their whole family? I saw
That's
it in
it.
that kid's eyes.
Yeah.
That's it. If you've never seen it, you can't wrap your brain around it. So the mom did everything, every last thing I told her to do, suggested. I'm careful of my terminology here. She examined and evaluated all of the suggestions, and it took about 2 months. He had friends again. He could sleep at night. If you don't sleep,
Yeah.
you can undergo a personality change.
Mhm.
And he was being so psychically attacked and manipulated that he, all of a sudden, it's like he woke up to who he genuinely could be. And when I remote viewed him after that, his entire auric field was united. It was one piece. There were no
Oh.
more Swiss cheese holes. So all these people who take supplements, they're not crazy. They're keeping their immune system, their auric field intact. His brother wasn't afraid to live with him. And as he got older, he continued them. And he's a productive member of society today. Now he's responsible for continuing them, but you feel so much better when you are on them.
Yeah.
It's just remarkable. I had a similar case of a teenage girl, 17, she's a senior in high school. She had murderous ideation. She fought every day not to take a gun to school and kill her classmates. Every day. And her mother had been to everybody. No doctor could help this child. She had taken her to psychiatrists, psychologists, MDs. They all gave up. And they said, "You're our only hope." Thinking, wow, no pressure there. So I did the same thing with this family. And I got her to do those things. She could relax because she wasn't constantly being attacked by these dark beings. Her parents divorced. She had multiple shocks in her life as well. I'm not saying this happens to everybody.
No.
I'm saying that for some personalities, this can be a problem. If you have a super psychic kid who feels like there are dark things, you may want to consider a really good vitamin regimen that includes those things to make sure that child has enough of the most basic chemical elements that make up the physical body. Because what you strengthen in your physical, you are powerfully strengthening in your auric field